Layla clutched the crumpled tissues, her sobs echoing in the empty apartment. Liam was gone. The love they once shared, the laughter that filled these walls now seemed like a distant memory. The echoes of their past happiness haunted her, each sob a painful reminder of what was lost. Their love, once a bright burning flame, was now nothing more than cold ashes. The love letters they exchanged, now burnt and forgotten, symbolized the end of their story. The candles that once lit their romantic evenings were now extinguished, leaving only darkness in their wake. The pain was a physical weight, crushing her spirit, stealing her breath. It felt as though her heart was being torn apart, each beat a reminder of the love that was no more. The agony was unbearable, a constant ache that refused to fade. Days blurred into a haze of tears and heartache. Each day felt like an eternity, filled with endless sorrow. The nights were even worse, as the darkness seemed to amplify her pain. Her eyes, red and puffy from crying, were a testament to her endless grief. Sleep offered no escape, only haunted dreams of happier times. The memories of their joyful moments together played like a cruel movie in her mind, tormenting her even in her sleep. She would wake up, drenched in sweat, her heart racing, only to realize that the nightmare was her reality. Layla felt lost, adrift in a sea of despair. The apartment, once a place of love and laughter, now felt like a prison. She wandered aimlessly, searching for something, anything, to fill the void left by Liam's absence. But all she found was emptiness. "He's not coming back," Layla whispered to her reflection in the darkened TV screen. The words felt hollow, yet saying them out loud made the reality sink in deeper. She was alone, and no amount of wishing or hoping would change that. Her once bright eyes were now dull with pain, her reflection a stranger. She barely recognized the woman staring back at her. The vibrant, happy Layla was gone, replaced by someone broken and lost. The mirror reflected her inner turmoil, a constant reminder of her suffering. The silence of the apartment mocked her, amplifying her loneliness. Every creak, every whisper of the wind seemed to taunt her. The once comforting silence was now a deafening roar, a constant reminder of her solitude. She was utterly, completely alone. The weight of her loneliness was suffocating, pressing down on her chest. She hugged herself, trying to find some semblance of comfort, but it was futile. The emptiness inside her was too vast, too consuming. She was lost in her own heartbreak, with no way out. "A change of scenery," Sarah insisted, her voice firm yet gentle. She knew that sometimes the best way to heal was to step away from the familiar, to find solace in new surroundings. "My grandfather's house. It's out in the country, peaceful, quiet. It's a place where time seems to slow down, where the hustle and bustle of city life feels like a distant memory." Layla hesitated, her initial instinct to retreat further into her cocoon of grief. The weight of her sorrow was almost too much to bear, and the thought of leaving her comfort zone was daunting. But Sarah's eyes, filled with concern and a fierce loyalty, broke through Layla's despair. She saw the unwavering support in Sarah's gaze, a promise that she wouldn't have to face this alone. Maybe Sarah was right. Maybe a change was what she needed. "Fresh air," Sarah continued, "home-cooked meals, the simple pleasures of life that often go unnoticed in the chaos of the city, and a house full of adorable cats." Sarah knew how much Layla loved animals, especially cats. Their playful antics and soothing purrs could bring a smile to anyone's face. She knew Layla's weakness for furry companions. The thought of being surrounded by these loving creatures was a small comfort in her sea of sadness. "It'll be good for you, Lyle. Trust me." Sarah's voice was filled with conviction, a gentle assurance that this was the right step forward. Layla, desperate for any respite from the crushing weight of her sadness, finally nodded. She didn't expect miracles. She knew that healing was a slow process, but she was willing to try. But even a brief escape from the city that held so many painful memories seemed like a small mercy. The thought of the countryside, with its open spaces and tranquil environment, offered a glimmer of hope. It was a chance to breathe, to find a moment of peace amidst the turmoil. The drive was long, the scenery a blur of green and brown through Layla's tear-filled vision. Sarah chattered cheerfully, trying to lift the heavy silence that had settled over them. But Layla's thoughts were miles away, lost in a labyrinth of memories and regrets. As they delved deeper into the countryside, the roads narrowed, winding like dark ribbons through dense forests. The sun began its descent, casting long, eerie shadows that danced and twisted, mimicking the turmoil in Layla's heart. The house stood on a hill, overlooking a valley blanketed in a veil of mist. It was a rambling old structure with a wide porch and a welcoming glow emanating from its windows. As they pulled into the driveway, a chorus of barks greeted them. Sarah's grandfather, a tall, sturdy man with twinkling eyes and a warm smile, greeted them at the door. "Welcome, girls. Come in, you must be freezing." His voice was a comforting rumble, and Layla felt a flicker of warmth amidst the chill that had permeated her soul. In Section 5, Feline Mysteries. The interior of the house was a time capsule filled with antique furniture, faded photographs, and the comforting scent of wood smoke. Cats, as promised, were everywhere, lounging on armchairs, peering down from bookshelves, their eyes glowing like emeralds in the dim light. "Don't mind the cats," Sarah's grandfather chuckled, ushering them into the warm kitchen. "They're a bit nosy, but harmless." But as Layla met the gaze of a particularly large black cat with eyes that seemed to pierce her soul, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Section 6. Rustic Charm and Unsettling Whispers. The evening passed in a blur of home-cooked food, shared stories, and the crackling warmth of the fireplace. Sarah's grandfather regaled them with tales of his youth, his voice booming with laughter one minute, hushed with reverence the next. Layla tried to lose herself in the warmth of the moment, to allow the peaceful atmosphere to soothe her frayed nerves. But a sense of unease lingered, a feeling of being watched, observed by unseen eyes. The cats, too, seemed restless, their movements furtive and their eyes gleaming with an unsettling intelligence. Section 7. Stranded. Their plans for an early departure the next morning were thwarted by car trouble. The engine refused to start, sputtering and groaning in protest as if reluctant to leave the secluded haven. Sarah's grandfather, ever resourceful, promised to call a mechanic, but assured them it wouldn't be until the following day. Layla, though disappointed, found herself strangely relieved. As much as she wanted to escape the memories that haunted her, there was a peculiar sense of safety within the old house, a feeling of being shielded from the outside world and its harsh realities. As darkness descended once more, so did the temperature. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and sending shivers down Layla's spine. She retreated to her room, a small, cozy space with floral wallpaper and a heavy antique dresser. Sleep, however, eluded her. The silence of the house was unnerving, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards and the distant howling of the wind. Just as she was about to drift off, she felt a presence in the room. Opening her eyes, she saw two glowing orbs staring at her from the foot of the bed. The black cat. Its eyes seemed to burn with an unnatural intensity. A blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. Layla sat bolt upright, her heart pounding in her chest. The scream had come from Sarah's room. Scrambling out of bed, she raced to her friend's side, fear lending speed to her steps. The room was in disarray, furniture overturned, bedclothes scattered across the floor. Sarah cowered in the corner, her eyes wide with terror, pointing at a dark figure lurking in the shadows. The shadow moved with a speed that defied logic, swirling and expanding until it seemed to consume the entire room. Layla watched in horror as it advanced on Sarah, its form shifting and twisting, its presence exuding a palpable aura of menace. Suddenly, a figure appeared between Sarah and the shadow. Sarah's grandfather, his face grim, held a lantern high, its flickering light casting dancing shadows on the walls. He began to chant in a language Layla didn't understand, his voice low and powerful. The first rays of dawn pierced through the darkness, signaling the retreat of the shadow. The night had been long and filled with uncertainty, but as the sun began to rise, it brought with it a sense of hope and renewal. The light streamed through the trees, casting long shadows and illuminating the landscape that had been shrouded in darkness just moments before. It was a reminder that no matter how dark the night, the dawn would always come. Exhausted but safe, Layla, Sarah, and her grandfather stood amidst the wreckage of the room, the events of the night feeling like a terrifying dream. The room, once a place of comfort and security, now lay in ruins, a testament to the chaos they had endured. Yet, as the morning light filtered in, it brought with it a sense of calm and reassurance. They had survived the night, and with the new day came the promise of new beginnings. Later that day, as the mechanic finally arrived, Layla couldn't help but apologize to the black cat, a strange sense of gratitude washing over her. The cat, with its mysterious presence, had been a silent companion through the ordeal. Layla had always been wary of the cat, associating it with bad luck, but now she saw it in a different light. It had been there, watching over them, and in its own way, it had provided comfort and protection. She realized that sometimes, the things that scare us the most are protecting us from unseen forces. It was a profound realization, one that made her reflect on her own fears and anxieties. She had always been afraid of the unknown, of the things she couldn't control, but now she understood that these fears could also be a source of strength. They pushed her to be vigilant, to be prepared, and to face challenges head-on. As they drove away from the house, the valley bathed in the golden light of a new day, Layla realized that her heartbreak, though still present, no longer felt insurmountable. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the beauty of the landscape and the warmth of the sun gave her a sense of peace. She knew that she had the strength to move forward, to embrace the unknown, and to find joy in the journey. The experience had changed her, leaving her with a newfound appreciation for the power of friendship, the bonds that had been tested and strengthened through adversity. She realized that true friends were those who stood by her side, offering support and encouragement when she needed it the most. Their presence was a reminder that she was never alone, even in the darkest of times. The comforting presence of loved ones whose unwavering support had been a source of strength and solace. Her family had been her rock, providing a sense of stability and love that had carried her through the toughest moments. Their shared experiences had brought them closer, creating a bond that was unbreakable, and the courage to face her fears, both real and imagined. She had learned that bravery wasn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to confront it. Each challenge she faced had made her stronger, more resilient, and more determined to overcome whatever obstacles lay ahead. The road ahead might be uncertain, but Layla knew, with a newfound clarity, that she was strong enough to navigate it. She had faced her fears, embraced the unknown, and emerged stronger for it. The journey was just beginning, and with each step, she felt more confident in her ability to shape her own destiny. The future was hers to create, and she was ready to embrace it with open arms.